The next speaker for the first round is from ICR, Mr. Kols.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for outline of what to expect from the ReArm and everything that follows in defense area in Europe. Well, first of all, we have to be very clear that this proposal is about defense, rearmament, industrial capacity, and strategic deterrence. What is not, it's not about social policy nor climate targets, and certainly not about the blending defense with every other political ambition under the sun. If we confuse priorities, we weaken outcomes, and we signal to our industry, our societies, our partners, and our adversaries that we are still not serious. Rearmament is strategic necessity, and it must be treated as such. So now in regards to the proposal. It has its obvious strengths. Defense is formally added to the Strategic Technology for Europe platform. Dual-use innovation and defense SMEs gain access to Horizon and the European Innovation Council. That's also good. Military mobility funding is improved, and member states can reallocate cohesion funds to defense. But it falls short in two areas. First, it was already mentioned, there is no new money. It's all internal reshuffling, and the signal is muted because the financial commitment is missing. Second, and this is a structural flaw, the proposal rewards those who have done the least. Yes, all member states can reallocate cohesion funds, but the real financial upside goes to those who delayed. They now access 100% of EU co-financing and generous pre-financing. Meanwhile, countries in Central and Eastern Europe who invested early in defense have less room to benefit. They effectively being told, well done, now step aside while others catch up with help. Well, of course, we support the file, yes, but we have to be honest. It is a technical fix, not a turning point, and this parliament must stay focused on defense, not diluted with ideological distractions. So my question is to the Commission, how you will avert that everything that is not related to defense will not be injected in the projects, be it ReArm, be it EDIP, and etc., that we purely stay on track when it's defense capabilities and nothing else. Thank you.
Now to answer Mr. Kols and a number of other speakers, I mean, yes, there is no fresh money, maybe at the exception of those 210 million that we have in the accelerator. Well, yes, that was, we never pretended there was fresh money, and I know it's a frustration for many of you, but I think it's an enabler to actually spend the money that we have, which is unfortunately limited, and we know that. We wish there was more money, but we also know the very harsh constraints on the EU budget today. So it's a way to enable a smarter spending of that money. By making sure that we don't, that we end up, unnecessary silos between different instruments that are all their logic, that we can actually, pass money from one instrument to another because it is possibly more, adapted to a given, let's say, a purpose. Also because there are many ways to actually pursue different goals at the same time. And in that respect, I want to insist on the fact that when it comes to mobilizing cohesion funding, it's not about undoing things to do other things. It's also very much about doing at the same time, achieving defense readiness, also together with regional developments, social reskilling and many other aspects. So I think, and again, here there are ways to do cohesion also with defense readiness in mind, and there are also ways, and that's for member states to decide, to actually transfer money to potentially more immediate use in relation to defense. Do we reward those who have done the list? Well, in all honesty, I don't think that, and we are extremely always in the design of our policy initiative mindful of the need to avoid any kind of discrimination, of any member states. I don't think that we are basically now, let's say, privileging those who have been late. I think we saw, also in the, for instance, in relation to the activation of the national escape clauses, that we are very keen on non-discriminating those who had already scrambled to actually, increase their defense spending. So I fail to see why, if you go to the mechanics, this would really, let's say, enable those who were late to acknowledge the need for defense readiness to benefit from that. So not necessarily an absolute game changer, but a very significant enabler of more spending in support of defense readiness. That's what we need as a matter of top urgency. And of course, the next MFF will be another discussion.
One more speaker for a second time, Mr. Kols, I guess. We're going to allow that because the time allows us.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll not make a comment. I really am genuinely interested in finding the answers to questions. And the question would be what you already reflected on avoiding any discriminatory regulations in terms of available funds. But then again, the question on the EU budget, allocation funds. Are there plans actually when it comes to burden sharing? And the big issue within the EU is that when it comes to defense procurement, we have such a chaotic environment. Will be there any plans on conditionality to actually move towards grants at some point? For member states, like on conditionality, let's say no less than 3 member states have a joint procurement. Then they are eligible to go for the grant financing. Is there such a thinking in the Commission as well, or just purely is going to go down with the loans and then, again, increasing the external debt for the member states? Thank you.
I'm not sure we reply faithfully to Mr. Kols' question. So I was already starting to answer, so I hope I didn't swallow it. But you said basically it was about loans and grants, and do loans on a standalone basis make really a difference? My answer to that, let's say overall, will be that, of course, I mean, loans can make a great difference. I mean, in terms of the magnitude of the amount that is proposed to be made available to member states, on the benefits that they actually embody in terms of rates, but also in terms of the grace period of 10 years and a number of things that I don't develop again here. I think that it is also important to keep in mind that we might actually, I mean, when I mean we all together, us, the EU, the member states and this parliament and all the stakeholders, we might be actually smart in creating the possibility to combine loans with grants. How? Through an ambitious and smart programming of the loans via SAFE, but also with a quick adoption of EDIP by the legislators. And then we can ourselves do our part of the journey. We can actually enable a very swift programmation of the EDIP. And, without any organic link that there is not between the EDIP grants and the SAFE, the loans, there might be a way to actually reconcile a number of objectives really in a smart way. So I think we can possibly consider adding to the power of the loans, the power of the grants, if we have an EDIP that we are able to program very soon, and we will see the two programs converging on similar ambitions. So I think this might open an opportunity that may answer to the frustration that you're expressing.